Oh my gosh, you guys. I am so excited. Hi, Shannon Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and today I'm going to be opening another ArtSnacks box. But I'm super excited about this one because this isn't a mystery box. This is a build your own box, which I didn't realize they did. I just happened to peruse their website the other day and saw them say, oh, build your own box. That was so cool. I got to choose a bunch of art supplies to get a full-size ArtSnacks box so I could choose what I wanted in my box, and I chose some pretty neat things that I haven't really tried before. So let's take a look at what I got. You know, they packaged these a little too well. The struggle is real. I'm just like ripping it apart. I had such a hard time getting this open. It was ridiculous. Okay, here I am. I'm so excited. Ooh, a Dum Dums lollipop. Ooh, the cotton candy kind. Okay. So underneath the pouch is a full-size pad of paper. Oh my god, this is so exciting. It's like Christmas, only this time I get everything I asked for because I'm the one that chose what's in it. So this is the Lennox Cotton paper by Legion. It's 100% cotton, it's acid-free, and I think it's hot press watercolor paper. Designed to withstand both delicate and bold impressions, this sturdy substrate was our first 100% cotton paper to be produced by an American mill. With a soft textured finish, it's ideal surface for graphite, pastel, colored pencil, and charcoal. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. I figured it was just like watercolor paper, but instead it's for drawing. So that's pretty cool because this is pretty good. Like, listen to that paper. It's singing the song of its people. Anyway, comes with 15 sheets. It is 250 GSM, 9 by 12, so it's a nice full pad of paper. I'm really excited to try this out. I wonder how well it would work. Like, I'm a colored pencil fiend, so that's like the first place in my mind goes. I'm really excited to try this paper. I hadn't really heard of it before, but I know that Legion makes a lot of great papers. So I'm very excited. And that's why I chose it, because it's one I hadn't chosen before, even though clearly I didn't even know what it was for. I thought it was for watercolor, which I use a lot of different mediums on watercolor paper anyways, because it's so sturdy. Okay, let's open the pouch. Yay! Ooh, look at that bling. Gorgeous, darling, gorgeous. I'm such a child. I really am, especially when it comes to art supplies, even though I have a million already. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you, I actually have tried this before. I tried some of their gouache when I had the first ever box from them that I'd ever tried, which my husband got me for Valentine's Day. It was a gouache box. It came with their magenta and their white, and so I really enjoyed it. So this time I actually did choose one of the items that I have used before because I enjoyed it so much in the other box. And I use this color all the time. And I think the next time, because I will be getting more of these at some point, whether from Blick or from somewhere else, I want to get a yellow so I can kind of have a primary thing going because I already have the magenta. Okay, so this little kit I've also been wanting to try some of these for a long time. These aren't necessarily my favorite colors, but I thought it would be a great way for me to dip my toes in and try the Bombay India ink by Dr. P.H. Martins. So it says that it's light, fast, and waterproof, pigmented India ink, holds line without spreading, flows smoothly, and it's non-clogging, non-toxic. So this is like a set of warm colors. Look at these. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme. I'm more of a cool color kind of girl. However, these are so vibrant. Look at that orange. That is so vibrant. The one thing that so typically speaking, India ink is pigment based. And so I'm hoping that these actually are light fast, but I'm not a fan of the fact that the individual colors, this one, it looks like this one leaked, or a different one leaked onto it of the same color. Anyway, I wish that they had light fast ratings on individual colors, because a lot of colors, like typically speaking, even in something that's pigment based, a lot of reds aren't light fast and a lot of oranges aren't. This color, this yellow ochre, a lot of times is a light fast color. Earth tones a lot of times are, but I don't know for sure. So this is going to be mainly for me to experiment in my sketchbook and things like that, just to have fun and maybe make some artwork that I might make prints of. But I'm not going to probably use these in my fine art that I plan to sell. But I just thought they would be fun to play with. And I've been thinking about getting some for a while, so I figured this would be a good way to try them out. Okay, and then the other thing is the Daniel Smith watercolors. I've been wanting to try some Daniel Smith watercolors for a very long time. These are like the creme de la creme of watercolor. And look at how pretty these are. So I got 3 of these. I got the Phthalo Turquoise, Prussian Blue, and Rose of Ultramarine. They just looked so beautiful. So told you I'm a cool color kind of girl. So look, I got my variety of warm colors here, and now I've got my cool colors. But these just look so gorgeous. So now I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this box, because I'm going to have to probably make more than one piece. And honestly, I don't know if this will hold up to, this paper will hold up to water media, because I was expecting it to be watercolor paper so I could use the other things on it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll do some smaller pieces, if I'll do some, we'll find out. You will find out in future YouTube land further down the line in this video. And the other thing that I bought was a King Art Radiant Oval Wash Brush, because I think the box that I got also had a King Art brush in it, and it was a dagger brush. I really liked that brush, and so I wanted to try another one from this brand just to see how it goes. And since it's a wash brush, I thought, you know, maybe I could try it with my watercolors, because I thought I was getting a water media themed box. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the paper will hold up. I mean, it's pretty thick. She's thick. She might be all right. Okay, so let's see what I end up doing. Who knows? I don't. So the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to try out this paper. So I grabbed a bunch of materials. You see I have graphite here. I have different colored pencils. I have my Holbein. I'm going to have my Polychromos, Prismacolor, and Derwent Lightfast. Those are the pencils that I tend to grab the most, and so I wanted to try those out on this paper. And at first I'm trying out some blending techniques without using any type of solvent, but then later on you're going to see me come in with different kinds of solvent to see how those hold up on the paper. I end up using some rubbing alcohol, some Holbein melts, and some odorless mineral spirits just to see how well the paper can handle those solvents, because a lot of times I like to use things to blend my colored pencils with. And so you'll see that in a little bit. I also decided to try some charcoal on this paper, and later on you'll see me try some oil pastel. And I also want to try some markers, because I'm always looking for a good paper for my water-based markers. I don't think I will be using this paper for that purpose. And then I come in with the supplies that actually came in the box. I have my watercolors here. I'm going wet into dry at first, and then I'm going to do wet into wet, just to see how this holds up with water. And I come in with my ink as well, and you'll also see me use my gouache. So this isn't the heaviest of papers. It's definitely kind of like feels like a mixed media paper. It's not as heavy as like Arches or something like that. So it does buckle a little bit, but not as bad as I was worried about. I think it'll hold up great to solvents when I'm using colored pencil. And I use solvents on the oil pastel there. But I didn't feel comfortable using it with my project. However, as you can see here, it didn't go through the paper to the other side, so it held up pretty well. Okay, so now I'm going into my little project here. This is just going to be a quick illustrative piece. It's certainly not going to be a masterpiece. I am using just a cold press watercolor sketchbook, and I am going in wet into wet in the background with my watercolors, and I'm using the brush that I ordered in this box, and I really enjoyed that brush. It actually works really, really well.
I couldn't get as much fine detail as I would have liked with it, so I do bring in other brushes, but that is why. And these Daniel Smith watercolors are beautiful. I love them. I mean, who doesn't? It's kind of funny doing such a silly little piece with them. I can't wait to try them on some of my more serious work. But this just ends up being one big experimental mixed media piece. And I kind of had a bit of a vision in mind. I knew I wanted it to be a night scene because I wanted to use all those blues and purples in the background. And I thought mushrooms would be fun because it would give me a chance to use that really fun red ink. The inks were fun to work with. I don't know how often I'll work with them in the future. I know it'll be more of a sketchbook thing. I might get a few more colors. I have to play around with them more to see what I think of them. The main issue that I had here was getting a nice range of values, so I did end up having to bring in a couple things that I didn't order from the box, such as a black pit pen, and I also brought in some white acrylic, as you see, for the polka dots on the mushrooms there, which I didn't get the chance to record because I had paused it so I could grab my paint. I also add a few splatters because everything here is basically like the same value once it's washed out, and so it was difficult to get the contrast that I normally would like to have in my work. So it left things feeling a little flat, but it still gave me an understanding of the working properties of each of these mediums, and I had a lot of fun with it. I also used a little bit of rubbing alcohol in the background to get that mottled texture. I just wanted to see if that would work with the Daniel Smith watercolors. It worked really well. I had so much fun. Everything layered really well. And I really enjoyed the gouache, which I knew I would because I've tried their gouache before. I will be getting more colors of that in the future. I was originally envisioning that blue as being a lighter blue so I could do some fun moonlit highlights on the objects, and then work out. But I do love everything that came in this box, especially the gouache and the watercolor and the brush. I'm really excited to try that paper on future projects. I'm so excited that I did this, and I'm happy that they had that promotion going on when I happened to go on their site, because I went back like a few days later and it didn't seem like they were doing the BYOB promotion anymore. So I'm glad. I had great timing. And if you are just watching my channel for the first time, this is not my usual kind of artwork. Like, if you're interested in seeing something more realistic, feel free to check out my other videos, because this ain't it. This is not my usual style. This was just one big experiment. I'm not sure I will use these products together again, but I definitely will be using each of them independently in other projects in the future. So definitely pleased with my choices. Okay, so here it is. I honestly don't know what to say about the piece itself. It's certainly not my biggest masterpiece. But I had a lot of fun playing with these materials. I won't necessarily use them all together again. I did have to incorporate a couple other materials. You saw me use some other paint brushes. I also brought in some of my Liquitex Basics titanium white acrylics. So that way there I could add a little bit more dimension to the piece, since I didn't have a lot to work with value-wise, and so that was probably my biggest struggle, is getting things to stand out. But the colors themselves are beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with the Daniel Smith paint. I mean, who isn't? So those are definitely going to go in my watercolor toolbox, so to speak. These were also a lot of fun, and I was really actually worried that they were going to be too vibrant, but they worked out really well in this composition. I was actually able to dull them down quite a bit just by adding water, and so they weren't as glaring as I was worried about in the composition. So I thought that worked really well. It's a fun little whimsical nighttime magical scene. I also used some rubbing alcohol to get some of these effects in the background, as I mentioned in my voiceover. And yeah, all around, it was so much fun, and I'm just so excited about these materials, and I'm glad that I chose these. The paper was great as well, but as you saw when I was first testing it out, I decided not to use the paper that I bought with it, although it really, once it dried, now that it's more dry than it was, it's not as buckled as I was initially worried about, so maybe down the line I will use this paper. But I really was pleased with how it was with the colored pencil. As you can see here, it did pretty well with graphite. Really pretty surface. All around, I'm pretty excited to use this for some of my finished artwork. But for this fun experimental mixed media piece, my watercolor sketchbook did the trick. And so, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. I have a review coming up
for the Faber-Castell Pitt Graphite Matte Pencils, and that is going to be more my regular style. I'm actually already working on the drawing, as I mentioned earlier, and that one is going to be a lot more realistic. So this one was kind of a fun break from that project. I like to do that. I like to move back and forth so that I can keep the creative juices flowing, and this project definitely helped with that. You will see these, especially the Daniel Smith, being used in more realistic applications in the future, though, on this channel. Okay, so thank you again for watching. I will see you next week. You have a great day. Bye.